For me, really listening to this book was such a like a retreat from myself. I was feeling like I would go to that beautiful magical place and totally rest with my mind, with my soul, like unplug a little bit from my crazy life and go into this meditative mode. This whole journey of peeling off these imposed ideas and becoming yourself and having courage and confidence to speak out your truth and live according to it. I think that was a very empowering story for me and very touching.
We are so excited today to be spending time with another fantastic human being and friend and reader of The Orchid, The Secret Code of Modern Goddesses. Welcome, Anastasia Bellone.
Oh, hello, guys. Very happy to be here. Such a joy to reconnect with you. Yeah, I would love to share my experiences with your book, and it's a great honor.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. Tell me how the book came to you.
When we learned that you guys are writing a book, it was such an amazing news, and yeah, I couldn't wait till you finish it to see what's in your mind. You know, you were sharing a little story here and there, and when the book was released, we had two books, my husband and I, and then actually I started listening to it on Audible because I realized that's my favorite. And to my surprise, like the voicing was
Mhm.
just done so amazingly. I was enjoying so much, and there were sounds and beautiful and accents. The narrator was absolutely great. I was walking on the beautiful streets of Los Angeles, you know, and listening to this book, sometimes with my baby, sometimes by myself. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience. So I was reflecting a lot. Yeah, it put me into the contemplation mode, definitely.
How beautiful. Do you remember something that for you was special that you want to share?
Oh, sure, there were several. I would start probably with the whole concept of the retreat because for me, really listening to this book was such a like a retreat from myself. You know, I was feeling like I would go to that beautiful magical place and totally rest with my mind, with my soul, you know, like unplug a little bit from my crazy life and go into this meditative mode. I would call it like that. Yeah, I think the whole idea of going to a retreat is very valuable, I think, and a lot of people probably are dreaming about this experience, not always having this opportunity to do it physically. But this book definitely gives you very similar experience on if you would go to a retreat for real, I would say. Yeah, the place described very beautifully for sure. You know, you really want to end up in something, in some place like that in reality. I like how many details were described, you know, when you talk about the place, and I can see so much love that you put into description. I think what was touching for me also is the fact, I'm going to the end right now, the fact that the characters, the main characters of the book, the five women, each of them went through some specific experience in dealing with their own process. And I like that in the end of the book, you showed how they implemented the results of their work in their real life. I think that was the most touching. And that's when I started crying. You know, this whole journey of peeling off these imposed ideas and becoming yourself and having courage and confidence to speak out your truth and live according to it. I think that was a very empowering story for me and very touching. The story about Stephanie was also speaking to me in many different ways. Many years ago, I heard that like 6 out of 10 women experienced in their life some form of sexual abuse, and I couldn't believe it. Like, what, every third? literally had this problem. Like, how can it be? I couldn't believe it at that time. And then I realized that maybe what we perceive as abuse was what we used to think of an abuse, is not quite what is meant by these statistics. There are other forms of abuse, I guess, some people perceived, and we kind of normalized it in the society. But still, I think learning how to protect your boundaries, learning and understanding your boundaries, first of all, is also very important. And also in the book, I think there were some moments that I talked about it. The process of Stephanie was very touching, and I remember my psychology teacher in my college was saying, I think she went through abuse herself, and she was encouraging students, saying that even if you went through it, you still can have a beautiful family and beautiful life and beautiful intimate relationships with your partner. So I think this book also would inspire people who, at some level, went through this experience, to keep going and believe that they can build beautiful, intimate relationships and beautiful life, beautiful family.
Thank you so much because, I was abused. And at one point, it's true. You think that define you. But then when you discover that what happened 5 seconds ago doesn't define you, and the only thing for me to see that the present moment right now is what matters, then I was understanding that I can live thinking in the past or let it go, make peace, and then continue. Because it's what we want to convey. You can begin to see your life from another point of view. And I love that you mentioned. Thank you so much.
I want to add in here, and for me, when I learned that statistic as well, that 6 out of 10 women, I frankly believe, and in conversations with Rocio and other women, that the number is much higher. Obviously, people don't report it. Also, what exactly constitutes a violation, sexual assault, etc. In fact, we've been in rooms in which Rocio has asked the question, and 9 out of 10 women have raised their hands. And the other point that I would like to mention is that I also was sexually abused. I was a child, and I learned recently as well, and probably is a low figure, that 3 out of 10 men have also experienced that. And it's one of the reasons why we make a point of touching on that subject in the book. And it's important that we acknowledge it and we get past it and go on to live amazing lives, because we can, to the point of your professor. Absolutely can. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing also your stories. I really hope that we are getting somewhere in a better place by bringing this awareness, also to people and to our children also. I'm raising a daughter, and I wish every girl and every boy in the world had parents who could also help them and explain them, their boundaries and how to react to certain behaviors that some people might perform in front of them.
I have 2 daughters, and I'm doing this for my
For
daughters, for
them.
your daughter, for our kids in our society. This is the new village. You remember when they used to say, you need a village to bring kids to the world? Well, the new village is electronic. So we need to use it to really have conversations about that. Let's give them tools for moments when they are in difficult times and when they are having good times, because life is that. How you can overcome a difficult situation.
I just want to add in here, and for everyone who is either listening or watching, the story of the orchid, the secret code of modern goddesses, it's really the story of 5 women. And it's not about what happened to them, but what happened to them in their lives, and their experience is contextual to where they are at that point in their lives. But the book, really, what it's trying to do is go to the point where Anastasia is mentioning, where is it doesn't define you. And there are ways and tools and things that you can do to change your life. And goal of the book was to bring that forth in a simple fashion so that many people could read this, listen to it, and also have access. Because there's a lot of people that don't have access, are afraid, don't have the
Yes.
resources to go and get access and help. And this is just hopefully one way in which you can get a little bit further ahead of that trauma, of that experience, and go on to live an amazing life.
Such a great work you guys are doing. Thank you for this contribution to our society. This is so valuable and so important. Thank you. I really also resonated with the story of Sophia. She reminded me of some process that I had in the past. I was kind of analyzing what's happening. We know that the women now are progressing in their career much more than before, and more women becoming CEOs of companies, getting really at the top. And I heard once that this world and the business in general and the higher corporate level really needs this maternal, motherly style of management. And I realized that for women, it's so hard these days to get to the top, that by the time they get there, they lose any of these motherly qualities. They have to become like a man and really work with their elbows to get to the top. And Sophia's story reminded me of
Mm.
this gentle way of doing business, ethical way, that you can really be in contact with your values, identify your values, and treat people like you would love to be treated yourself. And I love that she went through this process and she kind of came back to her maybe maternal part. She realized that she wants to be integral in the way how she lives and does business. And I think it's also something that really needed for our society and really valuable and spoke to me a lot.
I love that. As you know, Rocio and I both have corporate careers, and we were just actually answering a question to a media company that wanted to interview us. And of course, there's a lot of conversation about bringing women to the table. And and that's fantastic. It needs to happen. We need to have them present in the room. But sometimes it's the equivalent of inviting somebody who plays American football to a game of soccer, right? And the woman is in the room, she is there, she's participating in a man's game. And so all of a sudden, it's neither of the two sides are getting the most out of it. The woman is not, and the organization is not, because they're trying to ask for things as they used to from a man. It needs to be asked differently. It needs to be
Exactly.
allowed to exist in its feminine quality. And I think that's as important for the woman herself as it is for the organization and the men in the room. So I encourage everyone who's listening to this, think about that. When you really want to be inclusive of women, start giving them the opportunity to also set rules and and allow them to change the game so that we can all succeed and all benefit from it. That is so powerful. Wow.
I love how you put it. We need to create the demand, realize the need, and create this space for women to come and feel that space with what they can bring to the table to make it
Mm.
better.
It's time. It's time to begin to think in another way. We were having a conversation today, Angel and I, about how AI is learning to do things in a different way. And so we are learning to understand that the brain has another way of thinking and we can reprogram, we can move and begin to innovate even in our own life. And when we are only looking in the past, that doesn't allow us to innovate, to really move forward. So that's the point of the book, to really transcend what happened and move forward and be you.
It's funny that you brought up in this conversation because I was just yesterday evening thinking about it, that we all know that AI is learning from us. Whatever we put there, that's the result we're going to get, and in a way it's defining also the humanity where we're going to get. So AI is this like testing stripe, that you dip in the liquid and it shows you the what is it. So in a way it's going to reveal what our society is at this moment, at which stage we are. And I was thinking, it's learning from us, but also we're learning from it a lot. And I thought, okay, we all know that AI can write really well, summarize things right. And I thought, I don't want to just all the time rely on AI writing, I want to learn how to write like that myself. And I find when I write something and then I ask AI to make it better, and then I read it, and then the next time I try to write like that myself, and then I improve it even more. So I think it's a beautiful process. It's almost like having your own coach all the time.
Anastasia, I know that you are a very spiritual person, so I'm not surprised that you connected with the orchid, with the book. What would you say to other people who are still figuring out their connection to a greater power, religion, spirituality, etc.?
The story of almost each of the women kind of shows what's happening to a person who never been on this path and then ended up in the place. So I guess it would be a beautiful introduction also to people who never experienced anything of this kind, and maybe it would put them into some spiritual process, because we all have started somewhere. I don't know, I think one of the early inspirational experiences that I had back in the days, what is this, the movie Eat Pray Love came out. I was like 17 years
Mm.
old, and I think I started trying to meditate after that movie because it was made very beautifully put. It explained how the character went through this spiritual awakening and then integrated it back to her life. So I believe that the orchid has similar potential to inspire people just by the way how beautifully it's put and how beautifully the place is described and the processes that people go through. I remember my history teacher was always saying that just sitting and reading a book, you're not going to learn history. You need to read novels about that time. You need to watch like old movies or modern movies about that time. And then you're going to get inspired by the ambience. And then you would like to know more facts. And it's going to be a natural process instead of just sitting and learning the dates and the names. So I think, in a way, the orchid has similar potential of inspiring people into digging deeper into different traditions because they're also very well presented several beautiful traditions of spiritual path. And I guess the reader can see what resonates with them more, or try several and then see for their own experience what is their way of dealing with life and going through its challenges.
Anastasia, all the things that you saw in the book was something that I experienced. And every one of them was helping me to release, to change, to have another perspective. Tell me any of those experience that you have ever go outside and see like I recommend people to try what?
Right now we're in Argentina and it's pretty cold here because they just entered the spring. And I realized that I really miss the warmth of Temascal, Sweat Lodge. They call it the mother's womb, that you go there with all your traumas, impurities of your mind, of your body, I don't know, whatever is there. And so gently but also rough in moments purifies you, and there's these Native American chants and the drumming. It's totally my element. I also sing with everybody. I love singing, and I love how everybody sits there. We feel like brothers and sisters in the sacred circle, and there's this fire before, and then the rocks they put inside of. I really enjoy this feeling of being purified, reborn. You sweat a lot, you like lose all the excess liquid and also all the excess thoughts that don't make sense anymore in your life. So I was missing this warmth, warmth to the bones, so deep it penetrates you. And I was dealing with also coming out of pregnancy, so it was a lot of coming back to my body experience, and I think this helped me. And that moment, it was very very important for me to connect with my body again, and it helped me a lot. I guess for some people it also would be very helpful and beautiful. Maybe other people would need something different, for each case. There is a path, and there is an experience and a practice. So keep discovering, keep searching, you will find the answers.
I love that last part. Well, I love everything you said, but the last part where you said, keep discovering, keep looking. And we
Yeah.
went in the book, we wanted to make sure that anyone or as many people as possible could find different options that would work for them. And just to create curiosity and inquiry for them to try new things. So when our women go to the Orchid, they experience 13 healers, 13 teachers that are there, and they approach different things from writing to meditating to different healing practices that allow you to connect with your body, with your spirit, with your mind.
Yes, the healers that you guys described were so powerful, and each practice was so needed for each of the women. How well you connected them with the right person was also very admirable. And of course, the motherly figure, the main character, Maria, that was,
Mhm.
I feel like
Yes.
embodying both of you in a way, like it was like a parent to all the children that came. It was so beautiful. Yeah, I definitely wanted to be in her presence.
Hmm.
Anastasia, when I see you, I get inspiration of softness, creativity, and beauty. So, for example, I grew up thinking that you born perfect is not something that you acquire. And then I don't know for what reason was a lot of envy inside of me, something that was automatic. Little by little, begin to discover all this journey. I've been seeing that it's not envy, was inspiration. When I saw something that I really love, they told me if you can see something, it's because it's already inside of you. And for
Totally.
me, it was like a no way. So if I see that in her, it's because it's in me. And it's like, yeah, you only can see and perceive what is already inside of you. I remove that for my limiting beliefs that I used to carry. And now that I put another lens and I see what you are doing, and it's so much beauty that we can create.
I think it's an important subject, especially among us women. We have this competition all the time. uh, it's a deep subject, and I was also thinking about it a lot. You said the limiting beliefs, and how does it limit us really? When we see a beautiful woman doing something beautiful, and we feel competing with her right away, our mind tends to devaluate everything what she's doing, put a label on it. Oh, it's anyway, it's horrible. It's probably like, okay, she maybe she's good at this, but she's bad at this. So we start coloring our world into these black and white grayish colors instead of seeing the full rainbow and actually embracing it ourselves.
I love that when we are in envy, you are not only diminishing what that other person is doing, but you're also entering into a energy that it's low for you. Buddhism speaks, for example, when you're angry at someone or when you don't forgive, and it's the equivalent of holding on to a hot coal with the idea that you're going to throw it at somebody, and the only person that's getting burned is you. So it's absolutely beautiful what the two of you are saying, because really, when you admire the beauty in others, you're raising your vibration because you're starting to feel a version of love, a version of appreciation. And that can only lead you to a better place because it's raising you, not lowering you. And so, absolutely, congratulations. And how beautiful for two beautiful women to have this conversation and begin planting the seed for the new conversations that other women can have. Right. And I know it's happening all over the place, but it needs to be said more and more, which is we're here to help each other. And if we spend more time helping each other, frankly, our lives will be better, our families will be better, our neighborhoods, our countries, the world.
I love the energy that comes from you, Rocio. You know, this, in a way, inner child is definitely very alive in you.
Mm.
And I always admire this in people, because it's so fun to be around people with playful inner child. I used to be a little bit sad, because I would realize how many gaps I have that for whatever reasons my family couldn't fulfill because they had what they had, and now I'm having different experiences in life, and I see the gaps that I would like to fill up, and I feel like they should have been filled up in a different time, and now I have to do it in my extra time. So it's like all the time feeling that I'm behind, and I used to suffer because of it. But I think recently I also switched to this playful with thinking that, well, one thing at a time. I'm grateful to the experiences that I'm having right now. Everybody started somewhere. I've gotten where I've gotten by my 30, almost 3 years. And there's so much more to go, and I hope there's a beautiful long life ahead, which I would love to live in my healthy, strong body, healthy mind, inspirational mind, and strong spirit.
I see an image of, how often we say, oh, the glass is half empty. And what I
Oh,
hear you say is, I am enjoying filling my glass with all these experiences and things that I now enjoy and that I
Yeah.
now appreciate that perhaps before I saw as a necessity or I saw it as an expectation or as something that I needed to be complete. And when you turn your life around and you start saying, I am complete already, but I want to be more. And it starts going into that, well, into that belief that we're infinite, that we can learn anything we want, we can expand in all multiple ways. Beautiful.
doesn't matter what happened 5 seconds ago. You can begin again. Don't wait until January to have a new year. You can begin your new year, your new moment, your new day in this precise moment. So
Anytime.
that's the best part of this understanding.
Yes, happy New Year to everyone who is starting their
That's
life
right.
today.
Oh, how wonderful. Happy New
Um,
Year. Happy new life.
Anastasia, I have a question for you.
yes,
Please
please.
tell me which room of the orchid you will choose if you go
Oh my
there.
God.
What a
No.
great question.
Yeah, I think it was a tree house that I was really impressed with. I mean, I've never been to one, and I would love to experience it.
Many people don't know this, but every single room that we described there were rooms that we actually visited through trips around the world. And so they all exist somewhere, but all of them do not exist together.
Wow.
So, yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. I love the
I
tree
love how
houses
you
too.
how you put it all together, like that's what I call integration. It is so beautiful. I think this book is the fruit of your life, is a fruit of your deep process of integrating your experiences, and it's so beautiful because you can kind of, that's so easy for you, for Rocio, right now to say that, you don't have to focus on your past, you can keep going to the future, because look what a work you've done. You really integrated a lot of your experiences and created this beautiful gift for the world. And you can move on and keep like integrating new experiences and hopefully creating even more gifts for us. We will be so happy to read more of your books or any creation of yours.
We are not doing this for us. We are doing this for our kids and the kids for everyone else and our friends and our family and everyone, because I see myself in every person that I met.
Anastasia, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being with us, for agreeing to do this, for entertaining our questions, for sharing your insights. We really appreciate it.
Of course, guys, it's such a pleasure. And for me, it also was a beautiful experience, on reflecting once again and maybe integrating more of what I read or listened. So thank you. I love discussing books that I read, and your book was such a gift, and it's so beautiful to talk to someone deeply about it. Not to someone, actually, to the creators. Thank you.
Thank you, beautiful Anastasia. Big kiss to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And until another The Orchid Diaries.